There is a phase of the carnivore diet that nobody really prepares you for. It's not hard, it's just boring. And I don't mean boring in a bad way. I mean boring in the way that makes you question if you are doing something wrong. You're not sick anymore. Cravings are kind of gone. You're not thinking about food every hour. And somehow that feels like a problem. Let me explain what I mean. When you first start a carnivore diet, there is this window where everything feels new. You are losing weight, energy spikes, cravings vanish. You wake up and think, oh, this is actually working. Every day feels like proof. You are motivated because there's movement, there's change, there's something to talk about. But then, after a few weeks, maybe a month, something shifts. Nothing is improving in an obvious way anymore. You are just eating. The meals start to feel the same. Steak, eggs, ground beef, repeat. And you notice that you're not excited about it anymore. The food is fine. It just stopped being interesting. This is the boring phase. And this is where most people quit. You don't feel terrible. You just feel nothing. We are not trained for that. We are trained to feel something all the time. Modern eating is built around stimulation. Every meal is supposed to be an event. You scroll, you discover, you try something new. Food is entertainment. Food is reward. Food is distraction. It's how you mark the end of a hard day. It's how you celebrate. It's how you cope. Carnivore just removes that. Suddenly, food is just food, and your brain doesn't know what to do with that. The boredom that you're feeling isn't actually about hunger. What's missing is the stimulation. Eating stopped being the highlight, and that feels like something is wrong. Most people hit this point and panic. They start adding things back in. Spices, sauces, complicated recipes. They start tracking macros obsessively. They switch proteins every day to keep it interesting. Or they just leave. They think, maybe this isn't for me. They mistake calm for stagnation. Stability starts to feel like failure. But here's what's actually happening. Food isn't regulating your emotions anymore. And for the first time in a long time, food stops running your life. That's what boring means. It's the whole damn point. But it feels empty at first. You have spent years filling that space with complexity. And now there's just quiet. Quiet feels uncomfortable when you're not used to it. So your brain starts looking for problems. Am I eating enough? Should I be eating more fat? Maybe I need to add liver. Maybe I need to cycle carbs. And none of that is real. Your brain is trying to create noise once again. Noise feels like progress. Noise is exactly what you're trying to escape. The boring phase isn't a sign that carnivore has stopped working. It's a sign that it started working. The goal was never to make food exciting. The goal was to make food irrelevant, to free up the mental space that food used to occupy. And that space feels strange when it first opens up. You don't know what to do with it. You are used to planning meals, you are used to researching recipes, and you are used to thinking about your next snack. And now you're just done by noon. You ate, you're full, and there's nothing left to think about. That's the boring phase. There's actually something happening in your brain during this phase. Something that you cannot see. Something you cannot measure on a scale. Your dopamine system is resetting. And that matters more than you think. When you eat modern food, especially processed food, your brain gets flooded with dopamine. Sugar does this, seed oils do this. Your brain learns that eating equals reward. So it starts to expect that reward every single time. And when you switch to carnivore, that stops. Meat doesn't spike dopamine the same way. It satisfies hunger. It gives you what you need, but it doesn't give you that hit. And your brain notices. At first, it's confused. So it sends signals. Boredom, restlessness, a vague sense that something is missing. And those signals feel real. They feel like hunger. They feel like deficiency. But they are not. Your brain is realizing that food isn't going to be the source anymore. And it doesn't like that. Because for years, maybe decades, food has been the easiest dopamine hit. You don't have to work for it, you don't have to wait for it. You just open the fridge, open the package, and there it was. Instant reward. Carnivore removes that option, and your brain has to adjust. It has to find other sources, other things to wait for, other things to seek, and that takes time. There's also something happening with your gut. Your microbiome is changing. The bacteria that thrived on carbs and fiber are dying off. The ones that thrive on fat and protein are taking over. You might not have symptoms. You might not feel sick, but your gut is quieter. Digestion is simpler. There's less fermentation, less gas, less noise, and you notice the absence of that noise. It feels like something is wrong, but it's just different. Your gut is learning to work with less input, and that simplicity feels strange at first, because you are used to your gut being active all the time. Bloating after meals, crashes after sugar, cravings between meals, all of that was your gut bacteria talking, sending signals, influencing your mood and hunger, and now those signals are quieter, and that stability feels boring. Because you're used to the ups and downs, you are used to that roller coaster. Flat feels wrong, but flat is the goal. There's also something happening with your blood sugar. On a normal diet, your blood sugar spikes and crashes throughout the day. You eat carbs, it spikes. Insulin brings it down, it crashes. You get hungry again, you eat again. The cycle repeats, and your brain gets used to that rhythm. It expects the crash, it expects the spike. It learns to time your hunger around those swings. On the carnivore diet, that stops. Your blood sugar stays stable. Your brain keeps waiting for the drop. It keeps waiting for the signal that says, it's time to eat. But the signal never comes. So it invents signals that make you ask, maybe I need to eat something. And you start questioning everything. But you are not actually hungry. Your blood sugar is fine. Your body has what it needs. Your brain just hasn't caught up yet. It's still running on the old program. The one that expected chaos. And now it's getting calm. And calm feels uncomfortable until you learn to trust it. This is why the boring phase is so hard. All of that is happening under the surface. And none of it feels like progress. Because progress to your brain used to mean sensation, and now progress means feeling less, which kind of sounds wrong, but it's exactly what you need. Your body is learning to run on a steady baseline, and boring, it turns out, is what stable actually feels like, and it lasts a while. A few weeks for some people, longer for others. It depends on how deep your relationship with food used to go. If food was your main source of dopamine, this phase is pretty hard. If food was your stress outlet, this phase feels empty. If food was your identity, this phase feels like a loss. But in reality, it's simply an adjustment. Your brain is recalibrating. It's learning that eating doesn't have to be an experience. It can just be a thing that you do, like breathing, like sleeping. And once that clicks, the boring phase ends. Food doesn't get exciting again. You stop checking the clock, wondering when you will eat next. Meals stop being the structure of your day. You stop thinking about food when you're not hungry. And that's when the quiet wins start showing up. Better sleep, clear thoughts, less decision fatigue, more time, more mental space. Food moves to the background, and everything else comes forward. That's what comes after boring. But you have to sit through boring first. You have to let your brain get used to the fact that eating is no longer the main character. And that takes time. It takes trust. It takes not panicking when nothing dramatic is happening. Most people don't make it through this part. It's not hard. It just doesn't feel like anything. And we have been taught that progress should feel like something. But sometimes progress is just waking up and realizing you didn't think about food all morning. Sometimes it's noticing that meals don't stress you out anymore. Sometimes it's the absence of chaos. And absence is hard to celebrate. It's hard to post about. It's hard to even notice, but it's real. And if you're in the boring phase right now, that's where you are. You're just learning how to eat like a normal person, which, it turns out, is kind of boring, and that's okay.